We're gonna UVTV, motherfucker. I made a kid spiritual ass and do this for my people. On God. Neon nigga for feather me in. Today I'm gonna be talking about God wants you to be something like it. You being a creator of reality and making things possible. So just in general, right? God is just all possibility. So God wants you to be more like it and be in its positions because God itself, right, is not like when it comes to, I'm gonna get into that, but it's not like monotheism and it's not like polytheism and stuff like that because y'all be looking at God like a deity. That's like some low hanging fruit. That's something that became like a fallen angel or a fallen angel and stuff like that, like something like Lucifer or something like that. So it's like you getting lost into a light or an illusion or a love or a lust or a certain thought, idea, feeling, or emotion, a certain mentality of how to look at something when it's not that. So if it's something that's more free flowing, like your spirit, so it being more independent or it being more based upon your free will and it being free flowing, and it's not just one shape and form and stuff like that. That's all possibilities, and based upon all possibilities, sometimes it's going to be based upon a singularity. So you going based upon like that one track minded type of thinking, so that singular way of how to go about something, or it has to be dualistic or a multitude of different ways, two or more ways of how to go about something. So that's more feminine. So you putting yourself in a whole bunch of different spaces, just in general. So God is just all possibilities. So you making something possible for yourself so you can be like God, because God is just all possibilities, it being the overall creator of reality and stuff like that. But I'm gonna get all deep into that. So it's just all possibilities or the full scope when it comes to all of existence. So all the potentiality when it comes to something. So it's like the overall parameter just in general. So based upon the overall parameter, it's just going to be the overall space and us expanding that space to create something more or produce something more based upon what's essential, which is just your essence. So you having some type of esoteric scent, a particular odor or perfume in the spiritual realm, or some substance. So the subconscious standing. So based upon that subconscious standing, and you doing it based upon some high hanging fruit, is gonna be something that's more juicy, or it's gonna be more fruitful, or it's gonna be some new type of goal or some new type of value that's gonna be everlasting that everyone will be a part of and stuff like that. And then you're gonna be the founder and you're gonna be the creator of that fruit because you was able to supremely be on that same frequency, that high ass frequency, and kept on going with that thing. You kept progressing and making that space or that creativity, aka you creating something for yourself, right? And you keep on making that awareness or that attention span bigger, and you keep on attracting more energies based upon that. And you went through that process of going through the ups and downs and expanding, contracting, and stuff like that. So going through the experiences and go through the different observations. So you're gonna have that esoteric testimony of you putting it to the test. You actually observing and going through those different experiments and stuff like that, and then you was able to go the distance with it. You was able to keep going with it for a long period of time to where people can, you know what I'm saying, think of you and it'd be all like, oh yeah, he did this in his life, and he kept on trying to create more, not getting lost or not being stuck into a certain comfort zone of how far they willing to go with something, because they all like, oh, I'm 50 years old, I can't do it the same way how I used to do it. No, you can still do it. You just have to do it in a particular way because you're more older now and stuff like that. No, you're gonna keep on going with that thing because you're the one who made it essential, and you the one who was the trendsetter, you the one who made it what it was and stuff like that. So, just in general, right? God wants you to be something like it. So, you being a creator of reality and making things possible. So, you need to learn how to be eternal and being part of all of existence and with your real ancestors, which is just your essential people. So, you have to look at people, places, and things and stuff like that. Look at those as like different energy signatures and stuff like that. So, when we talk about ancestors, it's not just about like actual people, like the people who came before you, even though, yeah, like the people came before you, like, you know what I'm saying, based upon your genetic family and what's running through your blood and stuff like that, that adds on to it. But it's like a spiritual type of thing. Oh, you be in the same space. So think about your purpose. Think about the things that you feel like that need to be essential from your life. Like for some reason, from certain things being removed from your life, you feel like you can't be yourself without it and stuff like that, because if you feel like it's something that's like an extension to yourself. So that could be a multitude of different things. That could be like music, like you can't live without music. You always want to make something pertaining to music and it be the test of your life because you feel like found with it. It's like some type of found family or some shit like that. Like Like that's like you growing up and you didn't have no biological family like that who was reliable and stuff like that. But then your best friend and their family, you feel more at home and you feel more comfortable and you feel more in a found family type of space being around them than your actual family. So it's like something like that when it comes to like creativity or music or something like that, or something that you feel like is part of your life path, or something that you feel like is part of your purpose and stuff like that. Oh, this is essential. I need this thing. So you have to look at these different things like people, places, and things, not just actual people itself, like in the flesh and stuff like that. Like, no, things that make you feel found. So that could be a thought form, that could be a feeling, that could be an emotion and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? That could be like an ability you able to do. That could be like a talent. That's like a skill set when it comes to something. So from you naturally being able to have that skill set and stuff like that, that's you being in that space of finding your ancestors. So things that make you feel essential, things that make you feel like you're ascendant, things that make you feel eternal, things that gonna put you back into your creative space, things that's gonna add on to your substance, things gonna add on to you growing as a person and you producing something for yourself and things of that nature, right? So the minute you start to create your own circumstance and not getting lost into deities, you don't get lost into being deified, aka idol worship. So you don't get lost into a specific ego and you're able to go through an ego death, even though the whole thing itself ain't really like the way y'all be looking at it when it comes to ego death, because you always gonna have an ego. It's not like your ego is dying and stuff like that. You just don't you basically just don't get lost into like a validation issue or something like that. You don't fly too close to the sun. You know what I'm saying? You don't be in that narc energy. You don't be in that self-serving energy all the time. You can just be of service and stuff like that. So you're able to do something beyond just yourself or beyond just your subjective point of view of how you look at it. Because you always gonna have your own light. You always gonna shine your expression and your solar plexus, and your individuality and stuff like that. But you're able to look beyond just your particular way of how you express yourself. You're able to be around and amongst others who also want to shine and be the star. And you know what I'm saying? Show their light and show their abilities and show their creativity and show their talents. And then, you know what I'm saying? Y'all all coming together to embed the dream work to make that whole culture in itself bigger. And that's the whole point in itself of what we trying to do on Earth right now. So the same way how y'all look at God as like the almighty creator and the ruler of the universe and stuff like that, the supreme almighty creator and stuff like that. Okay, you have to put yourself in the predicament of you being superior than somebody else. Like I said before, don't get lost into like a God complex and stuff like that, and then you try to be all possibilities when that's not possible. You can't be all possibilities. If that's the case, okay, you create the world, you create the atmosphere, you create the seasonal transitions and stuff like that, and you be the sun and moon, and you know what I'm saying? Like you create the world and all that type of shit. No, it's not no thing where it's like, oh yeah, you like God. I mean, it's not no thing where you are God. No, you're just gonna be godly. You're gonna be like God, but you're not gonna be God itself. You're not gonna be all possibilities. No, you can just be the example of it being possible in your particular way of how to go about it, and you can be the supreme almighty creator and stuff like that. So from you being almighty, you know what I'm saying? You're gonna do something with all your might. You're gonna put all your strength behind it, and it's gonna build more mental resilience and more mental strength, which just leads to spiritual strength and stuff like that. You're able to go through the experience and your actions is not going to stop. You're going to keep on trying to expand it, and once you expand it, you're going to condense it. So it's going to contract and condense into a mind and into your particular way of how you do it. But before you even get to that, right? Once you start to expand it, that's like you putting yourself into a whole bunch of different spaces, which is really just spirituality. You believing in something beyond just yourself and other spaces beyond just your particular space of how you look at something. And then your particular space is your spirit, which is just your soul, your individual space, right? So based upon your individual space, you're able to look beyond your individual space and add on to other people's spaces beyond just yourself and stuff like that. And you're able to be yourself amongst a million people and stuff like that, and you don't get overly absorbed into other people's creations because you are also a creator. You get what I'm saying? So you being a supreme almighty creator and you making yourself a part of the universe in so much shape and form, because we make the world. You know what I'm saying? We're all in a unified verse. We're all in a unified world, but we all have our own particular worlds, all particular atmospheres, and then we make the atmosphere in reality just in general and stuff like that. So the more you know how to be more relatable or synchronize and stuff like that to make it be more you know what I'm saying, based upon like the mechanism, like the more you're able to play out that mechanism and you don't get lost into a certain transition in that mechanism, in that process. You know what I'm saying? You don't get lost within the process and stuff like that. Once you get to the end goal or the promised land or the conclusion, the resolution and stuff like that, is going to be more of that successful rate, and not success like monetary gain, even though it can lead to money and stuff like that. You're going to have more substance. You're going to have more of something of value. You're going to have some new type of fruit, some new type of goal, some new type of skill, some new type of trick. You're going to have some new type of ability because you was able to go through the whole experience, the whole process, and you wasn't trying to shortcut it. You wasn't trying to you know what I'm saying? Like you basically gonna end up having a better result overall, and you ain't gonna get the short end of the stick. So you basically have to understand your own power, and the minute you start to understand your own power, and not you bitching and crying, not you giving your power away all the time and stuff like that, right? And you able to practice out some type of ritual, routine, and spell and stuff like that, and you keep on sticking to it, and you ain't letting things in reality cloud your judgment, and you're able to stay in that pure state of being, you know what I'm saying, of what naturally attracts to you and what you naturally are akin to, you know what I'm saying, of you playing out those different characteristics based upon the character or the persona that you trying to create for yourself, and you trying to express your creativity and express your talent and your abilities of which you know and stuff like that. You're going to be able to put yourself in a better space in the universe just in general when it comes to your position, because you was able to fulfill a pocket that someone else was able to fulfill, or make a new lane for something, or a new possibility for something that we probably have never seen before and stuff like that. And then you can lead by example. You can be the new star or be the new example of what it looked like to do that thing in a new particular way, and you're fulfilling a space, because us being spirits in a body and stuff like that, we like to emanate. So based upon us like to emanate, we like to make shapes and forms. Our first shapes and forms is thoughts and ideas. So like thought forms and stuff like that. Thoughts, ideas, feelings, and emotions. And then our second shaping form is us manifesting, materializing. Oh, us being in the flesh, and then basically we utilize the flesh to do things in the external world, which is what our body is doing based upon our organs and us being an organism. And the external world is based upon science and the tools and technology we can use to make those things easier and make societies and civilizations and nations and stuff like that. But it's going to be way more productive, and we're going to have some actual culture behind it, not cosplaying someone else's culture and trying to learn what they did, but like trying to do it in like a gentrified, colonized type of mind frame and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? You ain't virtual signaling, you ain't cosplaying. No, you're gonna get with your people and be the representation of what it looked like when it comes to your people coming together and trying to create something and make some type of culture and make some type of productivity. So you ain't, you know what I'm saying, worrying about some bullshit or trying to make some shortcut or try to make some type of program monopoly game or some shit like that to make it harder for a whole bunch of different individuals and stuff like that, when really you should just make your own program, not get caught up in someone else's program or someone else's government and constitution and stuff like that. I'm not trying to say there's something wrong with the Constitution or something wrong with the government and stuff like that, because the government is just a governing mentality. So you basically make up your own system. So it's someone who has the ruling mentality at the moment. So it's the mentality of how they like to rule. Okay, don't you do that when it comes to your own mind? Other, you know what I'm saying? Like, you would even have your own mind in general if you already wasn't doing that. You wouldn't be some type of entity in existence and stuff like that if you already wasn't in that train of line of thinking and stuff like that. You basically have different you know what I'm saying? Like, you have the governing bodies, the different systems. So look at that, like your organs and stuff like that. You have a nervous system and stuff like that. You have your cardiovascular system and stuff like that. It's a whole bunch of different systems, and then you the governing body for these systems to even function in the first place. You get it? So it's like, yeah, like you giving sentience to these things. You just do it from a mind state first. You give sentience and sex within the mind first. Once you understand your natural natures, and then it's going to get manifested and materialized into the flesh. Now, just in general, right, that leads to monotheism and polytheism and stuff like that. And I got other videos talking about these things, right? But when it comes to monotheism, when they be trying to make y'all look at like, oh yeah, there's only one God and stuff like that, you should be worshiping one God and stuff like that. It's just someone who's in a selfish, single-minded type of ego, who's really like closed-minded and stuff like that. And they only look at things in one way. So they be looking at God like a deity. So based upon y'all looking at it like a deity, it's like some idol worship. So you basically turning your space into a spaceship, and you taking it and making it a worship, and you're willing to go to war by some type of false belief, think power worship type of energy and stuff like that, by going to war for some type of mentality, some type of idol. So it's you giving your power away. So you look at it as God in your mind and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Like you look at them as like a role model or like an idol or like an icon and stuff like that. Like you can't be an idol, or you can't be the walk representation of you doing that. So it's you getting lost into someone else's creations. I'm not even trying to say that in a way of like, oh, you can't be inspired by other individuals and stuff like that, but you're still gonna have your particular way of how you like to do something, and you can't get too caught up into someone else's way of how they do it when you not been making your own way of what you trying to do for the most part. You know what I'm saying? So you always in that spectator mind state instead of you being a leader. It's good to be in that equilibrium space to where you're not trying to be either or. Okay, sometimes you're going to be the leader and you know how to lead, and then sometimes you have to sit back and listen and just be the spectator. Sometimes you got to be in the extroverted, outgoing type of persona, and then sometimes you have to be the introverted. Oh yeah, let me chill and watch and sit back and observe, and you know what I'm saying? Like let me be in my seat and just watch and observe of everything going on and stuff like that, and me oversee everything behind closed doors, all that type shit, above the horizon and below the horizon. But anyway, that actually leads into the polytheism where like I was saying before, the monotheism, oh, the one singular God and stuff like that, that's like them looking at it like a deity. But the overall way of how to get the actual wisdom out of it, right, is monotheism, it being in that one way. No, they just want you to look at God, or it only being possible when it comes to all possibilities in that one particular way. You know what I'm saying? You can only get saved in that one particular way when that's not true. You can only get healed. You can only get God grace in that one particular way when that's not true. Right? And then polytheism is just a multitude of ways. You know what I'm saying? Multiple different gods and stuff like that. So look at that as multiple different mentalities, or multiple different descendants, or multiple different deities and stuff like that. So it's things that come after the fact. They're not like entities, they're like deities and stuff like that. So it's not something that's based upon you know what I'm saying, that's like eternal. Is something that came after the fact. So it's someone who thought in a particular shape and form, a particular way, and you getting caught up in their light and illusion based upon what they done created for themselves. So you worship that thing like a deity, and you get lost into adultery. Oh, you're trying to be like an idol, you're trying to be like an icon and stuff like that. Or you're trying to be the walk example of a certain mentality, but you can't look outside of your ego. You can't see outside of your own world. You know what I'm saying? So this in general, when it comes to monotheism and polytheism and stuff like that, right, it's good to, sometimes you have to do things in a single-minded, simple-minded, singular-minded, closed-minded type of way, a selfish type of way, if you want to make it negative. But it's better to do it in that single-minded perspective. Oh, you should only go based upon what you know, and just put yourself first. And then sometimes it's good to get other perspectives. Sometimes it's good to have a multitude of different ways of how something could play out and stuff like that. So look at that as, oh, you taking multiple different perspectives, so you can end up making your own perspective about it and stuff like that. So you being more mutable, adaptable, changeable, like the mutable signs and stuff like that. So you're gonna cater to your way of going about it, but also other people's ways of how to go about it at the same time. So you being open-minded just in general. So look at that as, sometimes it's going to be open-minded, and then sometimes it's not going to be open-minded. Sometimes it's good to think more selfish and be more singular and stuff like that. And that's what God be trying to teach y'all. All possibilities be trying to teach y'all is not like a this or that, or like a black and white, because y'all be getting lost into polarities and dichotomies and stuff like that. No, it's really like a mechanism. It's really like a process. Like sometimes it's good to do this and sometimes it's not good to do that. It just depends on the circumstance and situation, and that's really it. So you doing things for God and carrying out its duties and obligations. So you have to put yourself in a perspective of you being a supreme creator. So you being the most creative, the most productive, you having a culture, you doing things organically, not taking shortcuts, not doing things that are based upon GMOs, synthetic, low-hanging fruit and stuff like that. What naturally comes to you and stuff like that. And then you trying to play with that ability so you can create more. You doing things more initiative, you being more progressive, you being you being able to do that talent or that skill or ability frequently and stuff like that. You being a creator, you being an inventor, you being a pioneer, you making your own lane, you making your own pocket, and you fulfilling that pocket, you being the first to do that. So you putting yourself first just in your own particular way. and stuff like that. Like really all zodiac signs, Aries through Pisces, they all put themselves first in their own particular way. It's just Aries, they're the epitome of the first intention, the first light, the you know what I'm saying, the first dawn. They are the beginning itself, like Genesis. They know what it means to actually put themselves first, because that's their whole thing, putting themselves first. They're the first sign, they're the first transition and stuff like that, all the way down to what be happening in springtime and stuff like that. Even though springtime is Aries, Taurus, and Gemini and stuff like that. So they all know how to do that at the highest level when it comes to being spiritual. It's just Aries, they are the most spiritual. They do it the most. And the more they start to understand their energies, or if you got Aries in your chart, well, we all got Aries in our chart, but you get what I'm trying to say. Like, the more you try to play out that energy in your own particular way, that's how you learn how to put yourself first in your own magnitude and stuff like that. So, yeah, like I was saying before, yeah, you being almighty and you using all your might. So you having complete control of your abilities, and you being heavenly, you being everlasting, you being powerful, and you understanding your own power and not just giving your power away and stuff like that. And from you giving your power away, you start getting lost into, oh, I have to do it in this particular way and stuff like that. And you being creative enough to where it's like, even if that thing end up leaving me and stuff like that, you know you're gonna be able to have that ability to do it again. So from you knowing you have the ability to do it again, you're not even worried about, oh yeah, someone got that, someone got, like, if this was music or some shit like that, oh, this person, I end up having this song and I'm on this label, and then they end up taking my song and giving it to this other person, and they did their own interpretation, and then they actually gonna put the funding behind it, so I had to give my song away, but I really wanted to do that song for my project and my album that I'm working on and stuff like that, but I'm also a songwriter, so it's like yeah, like you get so attached to it to where you all like, man, damn, like I could have blew up myself doing that. I'm giving my gold away. But if you talented enough, you creative enough, you just all like, man, I'm never worried about that. I'm creative enough to where I know I know I'm gonna be able to get that energy back, or get that power back, or get that you know what I'm saying? I'm talented enough to where I know I can cultivate that same thing again, that same goal, that same ability again. I'm not gonna get lost into, oh, it has to be in this particular way, otherwise I'm not meeting the certain expectation in my mind of how I want to do it and stuff like that. Y'all be getting caught up in expectation energies and stuff like that. So just in general, you have to create your own meaning for existence and your individual state of being, for the most part. And you have to make something that's more everlasting, and at the end of the day is only going to lead to something that's more spiritual, and that's going to lead to you saying some shit that's more allegorical and metaphorical and stuff like that, or something that's dealing with the overall state of being of something. You know what I'm saying? States of being is like how y'all look at states when it comes to things of the United States. We have 50 states, so different 50 states of being. So in Georgia, you have a specific state of being. You have people in New York, based upon that culture, a specific state of being. In California, a particular state of being and stuff like that, based upon that geographical location. And then the country itself has a you know what I'm saying, the country itself is the essence of all those different states of beings being held together, which leads to the atmosphere when it comes to the whole continent that we on, which is just North America in general. So you know what I'm saying, like the whole thing is expansive. So just being a supreme being is just you being perfect in power, wisdom, and goodness. You being perfect in power, wisdom, and goodness. So it's you being like you doing something perfectly, because ain't nobody perfect for the most part. But you have to look at it like you being perfect is you being imperfect. So your perfect way of being imperfect, and that ability is yours, and how you're even here in the first place. And being good, not like good as in you being friendly or you being nice and stuff like that, right? It just means you being one of a kind, you being positive. Look at positive like you being more expansive, and you need to have certainty and conviction about that expansion, so you can control the aspects of the world by having your own worldview, and then you actually giving attention span, and from you giving attention to something that's like a thought, an idea, or an awareness, you're going to end up attracting different feelings and emotions and energies to make people want to be attracted to what you paying attention to. So that's you manifesting men and women. So that's like your Adams and your Eves, thoughts, ideas, feelings, and emotions. Men would be thoughts and ideas, and then a woman will be feelings and emotions for the most part. So you able to put it, you basically drive in the direction, and then you acting out in the fatherly type of energy, and then the motherly type of energy is being nurturing and caring. You being nurturing and caring, and you turn it into a womb. So that's you turning it into a container. You know what I'm saying? You're able to put all that into a container and condense it into a shape and form, into a specific feeling, so people feel moved about that specific feeling that you in. And a specific feeling is just an emotion, and then emotions are just you essentially moving. At least the way I look at it, you being essentially motivated based upon that specific feeling, because you can feel a certain way, but you probably don't have a specific emotion for that feeling. You just feeling a whole bunch of different feelings, so you probably just overwhelmed and all that type shit. But the minute you start to figure out the specific feeling for it, it's gonna turn into an emotion, which is the same way how you look at emojis. So you being mad, sad, glad, happy, sick, disgusted, puzzled, confused, and stuff like that. You get what I'm saying? So just in general, right? You ultimately control the reality that you are in, and what is real, relative, and relatable to you. AKA, look at that as you living your truth, and you having a eternal spirit is infinite, so it's balanced. So you always gonna be able to create that thing again based upon all possibilities, and you able to control your particular way. I mean, you're able to control your particular aspect, and you being part of reality in some way, shape, and form. So you created your own atmosphere, and in the atmosphere, it just the sphere at most, which is just the word at most. So you able to bring some new type of goal that's gonna have some type of superior or better value compared to when someone else do it and stuff like that. So we all trying to be the best. We all trying to be the greatest and stuff like that. So from you trying to be the best and you trying to be great and stuff like that, that's like you trying to be with God. As long as you try to have that mental resilience and conviction to keep on trying to create more, and you not getting lost into a dichotomy, or you getting lost into a memory, or like a pocket of time and stuff like that. So you getting caught into a pocket of time is like you getting caught into a specific shape and form of how to look at it, when we supposed to be creating more memories and being the lead, for example, of how to fulfill that space and fulfill that pocket based upon us being the pioneer and us leading the way when it comes to the light or the shine, or us being the star or representation of how it should be in the first place, because we the one who created that shit, the same way how we created ourselves and us having our own mind. That's why you have the awareness you is right now, which is why you having a human experience and stuff like that. You're just in a human vessel. You're just trying to do more. Look at that as you trying to expand your mind, which is just you basically expanding your spirit and stuff like that. So based upon the external world and stuff like that, the external world, the external world is basically created based upon what the flesh is doing, which is all these different things in existence when it comes to our bodies and stuff like that. So the animals and the humans and stuff like that, right? And the insects and all that type stuff, we make what the external world is. And then the mind, I mean, the body is being motivated by the mind, and then the mind is being motivated by the spirit, the space that we in, what we're trying to create and what we're observing, and the overall awareness of all of it coming together and stuff like that, which is just us making the universe. So we are the world. So even after death, in the afterlife and stuff like that, you're just gonna set up your life after this one, and basically you're gonna be able to be born again, because your spirit is always gonna be in existence, because we always gonna feel your essence and your substance of what you was, because your spirit is still flowing around, and you didn't get lost into a specific shape or form, and you always gave faith of the ability of you believing in yourself, of you being able to produce and create more for yourself, and you didn't get caught into a certain pocket. You didn't get caught up into the external world. You didn't get caught up into the flesh, into the body, you trying to please the body, and you didn't get caught up in your mind. You didn't get lost into your mind. You didn't get lost into a specific thought, idea, feeling, emotion, and you was able to let those things go, because all those different things are like transitions, and it's like a mechanism. So from it being a mechanism and it being a transition and stuff like that, you didn't get caught up in any of the different transitions. It's your spirit creating the mind, and then your mind creating the body, and then the body is helping motivate and create the external world and stuff like that. And even after death, as those things start to be temporary and start to die out and stuff like that, right? Like the external world of certain things being created and destroyed, your body starting to slowly but surely deteriorate as you get older, your mind starting to lose memory and getting dementia and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? You started getting real old and you going to end up dying one day and stuff like that. But you still able to hold on to your own abilities and capabilities, and you was able to go through those different experiences without holding on into a specific shape or form of how to look at it, and putting yourself in a temperament, putting yourself in a disposition to where you was able to create more based upon you holding on to your natural natures and stuff like that. So your spirit is going to be able to be reborn. My whole shit cut out. My whole shit cut out. But your spirit is going to be able to be reborn again from you understanding the mechanism in the process, and you didn't stop going with it. You know what I'm saying? You was able to go through those different transitions, and you was able to understand, oh, that those are the things I had to do to get to to get to point A to B to C to the promised land, just in general, and actually materialize these things.